What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Optimize You podcast. We are the podcast helping you optimize feeling and looking your best every single week. If you're new to the podcast, make sure you subscribe. If you're not new, make sure you share it with a friend, coworker, family member. We appreciate all the help. And now in today's podcast. New day, new episode, new location. So you see I'm in a different location. I am over at my now fiance's house, and this is the first podcast that I'm recording over here. So I got my flag here in the background, a little bit of a new setup. I'm sure it'll be shifting here over the coming months as I move more of my stuff in here. I move in, and so yeah, things are changing a little bit, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about on this episode. You know, I just a year ago I moved down here. You know, not actually a little bit less than a year ago. I moved down to Phoenix, Arizona from Minneapolis-ish area, a little bit outside of Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I was single, right? And now fast forward almost a year later, and I am now engaged, right? And this is something that I'm first off really, really excited about. And Marissa, who's my fiance, is just the most amazing person I've ever met in my life. And I'm excited to spend the rest of the time with her. But it just kind of goes to show of just literally how much can change in a short period of time. Right. And so you kind of go through, and that can be the case with anything in your life. Right. You kind of, we're so short based in the short term. We're so focused on like the day to day and these little things that we never end up. I feel like I struggle with this, like zooming out and just looking at the big picture, because there's so many times, and I've done this with plenty of my clients, where it's like we're focused on today's problem, right? We're focused on the issues at hand currently with our life. And that's going to change over the course of time. But when you start, let's say a weight loss journey or a fat loss journey, or, I'm going to start to get to the gym and start developing the habit of working out, it's really easy to, you're just focusing on that problem of like, I'm going to get consistent with this. I'm going to get consistent with this. Now, over the course of time, maybe you get to the point where you're doing 4 or 5 days a week, right? And now your problems are different, right? Maybe you're like, you know what? I've added nutrition, and nutrition's the focus. Like, I'm really consistent with the gym. I have this great workout plan. I'm shifting it every 4 to 8 weeks to something different, maybe different rep ranges, different exercises, different style of program, so that I'm keeping things interesting for me. But then now nutrition's the thing. And then maybe like you master your nutrition, or I don't know if master is even the right word. You get better with your nutrition. And now you're in a place where, maybe you're focusing on like sleep or stress or like these different things. And you could be so focused on the problem at hand, you're missing out on the fact that you've made all of these strides over the course of that year that you've been doing this. It's like, oh, wow, you stop and think about it for a second, and you look back, you're like, you know what? Remember when you started, you weren't even consistent with working out. That's what you started working on. And then you got to the point where 75% of your food was coming from quality foods, and you had gotten to where you're eating 200 grams of protein a day or whatever it may be. And now you're working on sleep and mastering that. And it's like, wow, I've developed a lot of these habits over time, but a lot of times that's not how we go about it. Right. And so this is just almost a reminder episode to myself, as well as all of you out there that listen, that, look back and just see how far you've come, right? Look back at the you a year ago and just see how much you've changed as a person, or what were your goals back then? Like, how much farther along are you now? Because a lot of times it's something that most people don't do. And it can just be a good like reminder of, hey, you know what? You're doing awesome. You're doing really, really good. You should be proud of yourself. And it allows you to continue pushing forward, but also to be like grateful, and to be able to give yourself a little bit more grace along the process, I believe. Because I kind of did this episode a little bit of just for those of you who've been watching and listening for a while, you know that I kind of go in circles, and I'll say something, and it's I don't know, my mind is just it's going every which way, right? And so I wanted to just kind of give you an update, a little bit more into my life. Engaged, had an amazing engagement, I actually hired a private chef to cook Marissa's some of her favorite meals. We did a 4-course meal, and it was just a magical, just amazing night. And then it's funny because I'm a dude, right? And I don't know. I guess I've just kind of looked at what is in front of me, right? Like the different things that are in front of me. So I was like, buy a ring and then focus on how am I going to propose? How am I going to make it like super special and surprise her? Like I wanted to do something that she didn't see coming. I want it to be really special, right? And then that happened, and then Marissa's buys me a ring. I didn't realize that the guy doesn't wear their ring until after the wedding, right? Or like at the wedding they get their ring, and that's when guys wear their ring, right? And so I wore it out of the store, and she's like, "Oh, I'm surprised you wore it out of the store. Like most of the time, guys don't do that until after the wedding." And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna wear it. And so I got my ring. On. I really like it. I think it's like a nice sign of commitment as well. Not that I necessarily need to show that. I know Marissa knows that I'm committed, but I like it, and I'm just gonna wear it just because I want to. And so, but I didn't know. I don't know if any other guys out there are in the same boat where you had no idea that a guy does. Maybe I'm just oblivious because I've actually talked to multiple people, and they've told me that they knew that they didn't live under a rock. And so maybe I guess I've just been living under. That is me just kind of scrambling around talking about random stuff, but I just am so grateful for where I'm at now as opposed to just a year ago. Coming down here, for those of you who've been watching and listening to the podcast for a long period of time, that it took me a while I'd been thinking about moving down south for like 3 years, and it finally got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I'm just sick and tired of Minnesota. I'm going to move down to Phoenix, right? And I didn't really know a ton of people down here. Know a few people, some good friends live down here, but not a lot of people. Not really any family that lives down here. And at the same time, those of you who've watched for at least a year know that there's a portion of time I started talking about starting to date, right? And getting on Hinge and like getting out in the dating world and kind of how things were going and meet new people and that process. And eventually I found Marissa, and that completely changed my life. And that was really has been the best 9 months of my life since that period of time. And so I'm super grateful. I'm super grateful that I got uncomfortable and I moved down to a place where I didn't really know many people, and that I took that step, right? And it just is something where you never really know what the future holds. Like if you would have told me a mere year ago, you're going to be looking for rings even, right? In the next year, you're going to be thinking about marrying somebody who just is like amazing and special. In the next year, you're going to be engaged. You're going to be starting to plan a wedding. I would have told you that you are completely insane. If you'd have told me that I'm going to fall in love with somebody in the next year, I would have been like, that's just crazy, just from where I was at, right? The point that I was at. And the same goes for so many other different things out there. Like somebody in who's watching or listening to this right now, you may be so far away from your goal, right? Maybe you're so far away from the body that you want, or feeling a certain way, or you think you're so far away from it, but really you're not that far away, right? You're not that far away. And in just 3 months, you could make crazy strides and look back over the course of those 3 months and see a completely different version of yourself, right? Over the course of 6 months, it could be the same. A lot of times that period of time in our heads, it seems like so long, but then when it goes by, it's like a snap of a finger, right? And sometimes we just go through the motions. Over the last year, I've had periods of time where I'm going through the motions. I got to catch myself and I got to get myself reeled back in and get back on track. But, it might have been like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And then we keep going forward. We keep moving down the line, and you just look back and you're just a completely different version of yourself. And, I've talked about the roller coaster of my health and fitness over the last year, right? How it's just been a little bit harder to navigate, but I still love myself. I still love my body. I still am in good shape. I still prioritize getting my workouts in, getting my walks in, keeping my nutrition at least at like 70% quality foods, right? It's like, it doesn't like, I'm in a year of like figuring out that balance, right? And I feel like I've gotten a good grasp of just what I need to do to maintain what I have and feel good about like my body, feel good about how much energy I have on a daily basis, present the best version of myself for Marissa, for my friends, for my family, for everybody in my life, and just continue getting a little bit better and just trying new things and trying to figure out how I can, have new goals, accomplish those goals. There's a lot of different things right now. Like life is good. Like I said, I'm super grateful, but I just wanted to really just give you a short episode this week, solo episode, where you got a little update on a nice huge thing in my life that is super exciting, but also how I was able to just compare that to you. I just want you watching this right now to take a second out of your day to look back at a year ago or 6 months ago or 3 months ago and just compare yourself to that version of yourself. If you've been on this road for a little bit of trying to get better in whatever way that is, and that doesn't have to be health and fitness. Certainly could be within a career, could be within a relationship, could be with anything. Just look at yourself back then and the goals you had and how much farther along you've had, and just give yourself a pat on the back. Like, allow yourself to really enjoy that win and the wins that you've had over the last year, right? Because if we don't do that, then what are we really on this road for, right? We need to allow ourselves to feel those wins and congratulate ourselves for those wins and really allow ourselves to continue pushing forward. And I would even challenge you to do this on a more regular basis. I actually have a reminder that goes off middle of the day every day that reminds me to just look back at the version of myself from the past and just really soak in all those W's and just the different person that I am from 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3, 2, 1, 6 months ago, and all of the growth that I've had. Right. And so hopefully this has been helpful. If it is, again, all we ask is that you just share it with somebody that you love, that you think can find some value in this. Really, really appreciate all you guys that watch this and listen to this on a daily basis. Hope you have a good rest of the day, good rest of the week. I'll be talking to you soon.